This season of Truly Independent is supported by the Help Them See Foundation. Help Them See is a nonprofit dedicated to supporting feature films that inspire faith, hope, and connection. By partnering with filmmakers, the Help Them See Foundation brings meaningful stories to life and shares them with audiences worldwide, making a lasting cultural impact through the power of cinema. Learn more and discover how you can be part of the movement by visiting helpthemseefoundation.org. Welcome to Season 3 of Truly Independent. I'm Garrett Batty alongside my co-host Daren Smith. Each week, we'll go in-depth with guests, industry experts, and we'll even share our own experiences, all with the goal of demystifying the independent film process. This season, it's all about the script, from the first spark of an idea to a polished final draft, breaking it down for scheduling, budgeting, and ultimately shooting. We'll walk through every step it takes to get from page to production. Welcome to Truly Independent. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Truly Independent. Daren, nice to see you again.
Always good to be seen and great to see you as well. Man, oh man. Is this the last episode of 2025, Garrett?
It's certainly the last one we are recording. Oof. I would imagine that this is going to be released sometime in the new year. But yes, it is the last one we record. And what a year it's been.
Seriously, it's been nutty. I'm a little in shock that it is the end of the year already. Like, I know that Christmas just happened. I know that Thanksgiving was last month. But like, how are we here already? It feels like we should be in April or May.
It's been a speedy year, and yeah, it's been a good year. We've got a lot done. I'm excited to talk about different movies that maybe we've seen this year that are standouts, and that's a new topic that we didn't discuss pre-show. But and then also to talk about some goals for the coming year that independent filmmakers can make or set, or that we can set, that kind of might help us continue to create and continue to have positive experiences with independent film this year.
Yeah, it's always good to kind of think back on the year that you just had, and the end of the year is a good time to do that rather than like August or something. You know, especially this week between Christmas and New Year, I always find it to kind of be a weird like limbo flex time of like some people want to meet and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that this week. I want to do my own thing. I want to focus on what did I learn and what am I doing in 2026 and getting set up strategically for it and all that stuff. Someone pinged me yesterday and was like, can we do lunch this week? I was like, no, that sounds terrible.
Really?
Not because of them. Like, I do want to have lunch with them. It's not this week. And so I do like that we're in that same mindset of like, okay, what are the takeaways from this year? And also, what are we thinking about? And what are maybe some goals that can be extracted from our conversations over the last 52 weeks to say, what can you do to set up 2026 to be a really great year?
Are you typically a goal setter? Is this sometimes I've been listening to a lot of that type of content, and I'm hearing like, hey, it's just an arbitrary date. Like, why wait for January 1st to make changes or become motivated again? And on the other side of it is, thank goodness for this arbitrary date, because otherwise we'd get in the routine and there'd be this monotony that we would have a hard time overcoming.
Yeah. To give you a short answer, yes, I could not only do an entire episode on goal setting, I could do a completely different podcast on goal setting. Okay. Yes, I'm a big goal setter. I'm a massive fan and proponent of goal setting because I think once you have an outcome, that informs the strategy. And I love designing and implementing strategy. And so for me, the goal is the end and the strategy is the means to get there. And if you don't have that destination, you're just going to be treading water or wandering around in the wilderness and not making any progress. And I think that is what we hear from a lot of filmmakers. It's like, man, I've really been pushing hard this year and I feel like I got nowhere. And it's not necessarily that they didn't have a goal. It's that the goal wasn't either big enough to create the tension or create the strategy, or they missed a piece that helped them make progress every day. And so I'm a big proponent of goal setting. Yes.
Okay. Yes, I would have said the same thing about you if somebody asked me, and I would have won money on that bet or whatever. But yes, there's no hot news flash that Daren Smith sets goals. We know that. But
breaking news.
yeah, that's right. So one of the things that I did want to discuss, because if I look back, it seems like a lot of times we hear that, hey, my goal is I want to make a film. I want to do my feature. I want to do get an independent film that's done this year. And that's very relatable. And more often than not, that is one of my goals. And I'm hopeful that to look back and say, okay, here are some goals that perhaps can be set and reached or pondered or thought about so that it's not just the same thing. I want to do my feature this year.
Yeah.
Like, how do we really do that? How do we break that down? And so, if we could ping pong ideas back and forth, 5 goals on what independent filmmakers can be doing so that they can reach that, hit that
Yeah.
desire.
Yeah. And to further frame that, to me, the goal is not to produce or make a movie. The goal is to have a system where the output is a movie every year. And that might sound like the same thing, but they're two very completely different things. And so I think as we go through and kind of ping pong across these different areas of focus or different goals you could set as a filmmaker, I think that's going to shine. By the end, people are going to go, oh, okay, we're talking in systems here, not in just one-offs. And that to me is very exciting. So do you want to kick us off, or do you want me to do the first one?
I can do this first one. Okay, the first one on our list is build a direct audience channel you control. And Daren, we've emphasized this. That was the initial even impetus for this podcast, was to build our audience directly, right? As independent filmmakers, it is crucial that we control an audience, that we build our audience. So whether that's an email list or an SMS list tied to our name or company, not just to a film, but it's something that we can control. So a goal might be, I'd like to build my audience by launching a newsletter that I do weekly or a YouTube channel. My son has talked a lot about, he wants to do a YouTube channel only to hold himself accountable. And I love that. And he's 14 years old and more motivated than I am. And then to capture those emails, capture that audience so that you can control it.
Yeah. I'm really grateful this is number one, because I think this is where the leverage is going to be going forward. And we'll probably touch on it even more as we go through the rest of this list. But like, I've said this multiple times over the last few months because it's become a bit of a mantra for me, that my responsibility as a producer is not just to bring a distributor a great film, it's to bring the audience along with it. And because I've had these conversations with distributors, and all they want is a sure thing. That is
Right.
their goal, to get as much of a sure thing as possible. So that's why they bring up who's in it. That's why they bring up the genre and the budget and all that stuff, because they need to know, if I bring this movie into our slate, will it make money? Because if not, up front, they're just going to be like, well, this is a losing endeavor. Why would we invest our time and resources into that? So if I as a indie filmmaker can say, look, here's a movie that I produced at this budget, with this genre, with this cast, and here's 100,000 people that want to go see it. That's a very different conversation, because that's $1 million box office right there. Okay, they're going to say yes to that. So yeah. Do I have that? No. Am I working toward that? Yes. We have this podcast. I have a newsletter that's got almost 4,500 or 5,000 people on it. We're building the newsletter for Brotherhood, but we're doing it under the Craftsman Films existing newsletter. So like this said, a direct audience on a channel you control. So notice I'm not talking about an Instagram or even a LinkedIn presence. I don't control those audiences. I don't control the ability to reach all of them. But on my email, I can get a 60 to 80% open rate, whereas on LinkedIn, I reach 6 to 10% of my audience. So that's why you want a direct audience channel that you control.
And you can put a simple metric on that and say, look, I would like 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That's my goal, or one consistent content touch point per week. Like, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I can control to build an audience, so that when I do my feature, I approach a distributor with an audience. Yeah, it's a great way to do it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really key. And the sooner you start, the better. And I also think it's important, like it said, like you said, we're not doing it per project. We're doing it for ourselves and our companies, so that people are associating us or with us and building relationships with us, not some faceless movie Instagram page. So I think that is the way to go to build personal brands, not business brands. And there's lots of data and research that shows that that's the smart way to go. All right. Very cool. So I'm already sensing the feedback from the audience of like, this is too much. I can't do it all. Well, here's number 2. We're only one goal into a list of 5 that we have for you guys today. So,
And as far as too much, that's an hour a week, guys.
Yeah.
Like, if that is too much, probably not in the right business.
Yeah.
Like, it's an hour a week to send an email out.
Yeah.
Which I'm more talking to myself because that is my goal. Come on, it's an hour a week, Garrett. Just do it.
Yeah. No, it's very true. And no one else is going to do it for you. This
Right.
is the
So-
truly independent podcast. This is the
So, guys,
assumption that you are a company of one. So all of this
Go to
is
3
within
Coin
that.
Pro, sign up for the email, the weekly email, and maybe I'm doing that, publicly committing to send out the weekly email to build the 3 Coin Pro list.
Yeah. And I would add, it's not just sending it out, it's getting more people to know about it every week as well. So there has to be 2 mechanisms. One, that's your output system of here's where I'm going to sit down and spend 30 minutes doing that. And here's split it into 30 minutes. It's still just an hour a week, Garrett. 30 minutes of writing, 30 minutes of marketing. How about that?
That's right.
All right. So number 2 is develop at least one project with distribution in mind. So we talked about this last episode, right? You're developing with distribution in mind. You're not thinking, I'm going to go make a movie and then I'm going to think about distribution. No, you need to start thinking about it up front. And if you missed last week's episode, go listen to it or watch it because we did a deep dive on it. So what this looks like is that before you're even like hiring people and spending money, you're thinking about who's the target distributor or even platform. But I really like the idea of thinking about a distributor before you even finish the script. If you're a producer, if you're a writer director, and you're talking to each other about doing this project together, the conversation of who should distribute this is at the same time as what is this movie? It's that early. And why that matters is because if you're not thinking about the distributor, if you're not thinking about the budget, if you're not thinking about the market and who you're going to reach and how you're going to reach them and the core audience for this thing, you're missing like half of the success of the movie is the marketing. And if you can't bring yourself to start thinking about that early enough, you're really doing yourself and the movie a disservice. And we've seen it time and time again. When we've talked to distributors and the movie's done and they say, oh, I wish you called me earlier. I would have informed this decision, or we would have maybe tweaked this scene or this character or whatever. And it's too late at that point because the movie's already in the can. It really matters because the indie films that work are the ones that aligned with what the reality is in the marketplace. And if you're disconnected from that, you're trying to have success in a way that's like extremely harder, exponentially harder than if you actually aligned with what's going on in the marketplace.
You're hoping for an accident.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're going to hope that this accidentally succeeds, rather than engineering its success and kind of securing that, ensuring that a little bit more.
Yeah.
And at Sundance each year, on the first day of Sundance, there are news articles that come out and say such and such sold at Sundance. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, the movie just barely screened at Sundance. And now the distributor, like, there's not even time for a meeting or to take the 24 hours to think about. And oh, no, those deals are engineered. Sundance is the promotion, but I'm with it. There's no accidental success. Or if it is, great. But don't hope for that.
Yeah. But I think you highlighted a really interesting strategy, which is use the festival as the marketing, as the announcement, as the PR, not where you hope for an accident to occur. I love that phrase. We should put it on a t-shirt or something.
Hope for accidents.
But there's nothing that says you can't talk to distributors unless you're at a festival and they're requesting a meeting. Like, you just call them. I've done that the last month, and I've had half a dozen meetings with distributors that typically you would meet at AFM or EFM or Cannes or Sundance or some festival. And they're a little shocked because not enough producers do it.
Yeah.
But they're also grateful because they're like, wow, I have time to look at this. You're not even going to shoot it for 4 or 5 more months. That gives me time to think about it and look at our slate and get through the holidays and all these things. Like, it's a generous act to say, I'm talking to you now 6 months out before the movie even goes into production so that you can inform some of the decisions we're making. And I've
How-
been adamant with them. We're not going to change the cast. We're not going to,
Yeah,
budget's
this is what it
locked,
is.
those kind of things. But man, if they wanted to bring in another $1 million to bring in a cast, I'd strongly consider that, because it means that they're enrolled and they've got buy-in and they've got some skin in the game. And that's what you want from a distributor.
I love it. Okay, so we've got weekly contacts, or at least build your audience.
Mhm.
And what's the goal number 2? Develop at least one project with distribution in mind.
There you go.
And, okay, moving on. And real quick, that one project doesn't have to be a feature. If you're saying, I'm going to develop my short film and the distribution is a YouTube channel, I'm going to use that to build an audience, great, do it. But you're engineering it, you're planning it out.
Yeah, and you're working that muscle of what does it mean to have it in mind at the very beginning. And then you execute a plan instead of hoping for an accident. I like it.
Number 3, the diversify income beyond the next film. This is a note for me. This one's good.
A note for everybody. Don't just have it yourself, Garrett. You have to share this one.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one, right? I'm not the only one that has to hear this. Okay. Yes, oftentimes I get into, okay, we're going to do this next movie. We got to do this next movie. But boy, I got to figure out how to pay the bills each month. And if that movie isn't coming in, then I'm sunk. It can't be that. We got to diversify enough beyond the next film. Consider options, set goals like for, hey, I want to write for hire or consult. I don't know, Daren. I'm reading these notes. I'll read these notes and then get your comments on them.
That sounds good.
Because I don't know if this is so hard for me. It goes against my everything about me. Writing for hire to development consulting, branded content for documentary and nonprofit work, teaching or speaking for workshops, or IP development, books, podcast series.
Yeah.
Those are things that they could say, hey, I'm going to diversify. Now, I will say this. Right now, even as we're speaking, I'm right behind my recording screen is Final Cut Pro edit of episode 2 of the making of Brotherhood.
Yeah.
So that's a side gig that I'm doing, promoting your film, your project, being paid on that. So that is how I'm diversifying.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. It's
okay.
You're
I guess I don't feel so bad about that.
Well, and yeah, I shouldn't feel bad about it at all, because not only are you bringing in income, but you're helping, and all of the work around it is going to benefit everybody that's involved with it. But
sure,
what I think this is talking about is the idea that financial pressure does not help creativity. So if you've put financial pressure on a thing that you're going to try to make next year, it has to perform. It has to pay you a certain amount of money. It has to cover your bills. It has to do this financially speaking. That's a lot of pressure to put on a work of art or a piece of creativity or creative output. And I spent nearly 2 decades doing that to myself, and it's terrible. And yet we do it to ourselves. And so part of this, I think, is highlighting that we are doing this to ourselves and we got to stop it. And if we can relieve some of that financial pressure by diversifying our income, it could be a part-time job. It could be something on nights and weekends. It could be whatever. And there's nothing bad or wrong or less than or any of those things when it comes to, I'm going to do this to support my ability to show up and do the creative work in my best possible way.
Yeah.
Because if you're showing up stressed and frustrated and your spouse is saying, hey, get a job, and you're looking at your bank account and you got kids and a house and cars, like that is not a great state to try and create from. Even if you've managed to get up early or stay up late to do the work, you're still got all that weight yelling in your ear behind you as you're trying to type words into a screen. It's just it's not good. And so it's a gift to yourself. It's not you failed. It's not you're not there yet. It's none of those things. Those are just stories you're telling yourself. It's I'm going to strategically do this to take care of the financial aspect of my life so that I have the emotional and mental and spiritual capacity to create.
Okay, that makes sense. And I like that. And there's something, so then the thought that I'm processing, and help me process this, creativity under pressure is good. Like sometimes, like when you're in a very high pressure situation, the creativity gets pushed out and you come up with some great solutions and solve a lot of problems. However, if that pressure is financial or something, if that pressure is coming from a certain source, then that's not good. Like, it doesn't enable creativity, it doesn't allow it. So I don't know what that is. If it's creativity, work for hire is not a good thing or hasn't been a good thing. But man, if I'm trying to solve, like, hey, how do I best tell this story, or how do we do this film for this budget? Those are I get some great results creatively from that.
Yeah,
So what is that pressure?
I think what you're highlighting is where the pressure's coming from and where the pressure's being put on. And so if the
Yeah,
pressure is being put on the project to deliver a financial outcome, I think that really squashes any chance of being creative, because then you're calculating for how do I get paid, which is not
yeah,
the same as how do I make a great story that deserves to be told that people are going to want to pay money for. So if you
yeah,
can remove the financial requirement from the piece of work that hasn't even been created yet, that's one thing. But there's really good, like you've highlighted, it's really good to have some internal or even external pressure, like you just did earlier in the podcast. I'm committing myself publicly to do this. That's pressure you're putting on yourself to show up to deliver an outcome. But it's not the creative work that you're talking about. You're not saying, I'm committing publicly for this script to sell for $1 million to Netflix. That's too much pressure and it's out of your control. It's not a good goal, right? And
yeah,
so that might be a dream one day, but like we're talking about at the beginning, we need to build systems that generate those outcomes. They emerge because the system exists, not because you put this financial pressure on it. And so there's a difference between putting pressure on a piece of work and pressure on yourself to show up and do that work.
yeah. Yeah, okay. I understand that. That helps. And I like that, having ease the pressure so that you can focus on being creative.
Yeah.
And that pressure should solve creative issues, not, hey, this should solve everything else so that I can be creative.
Yeah. One example that I've used before and I like a lot because it keeps coming up is when I talk to screenwriters and they're saying, how do you do this? Because I've written a book on like how creative independent creators can build profitable businesses. So I get a lot of creators coming to me and saying, tell me how this works. And so I say, look, if you're a writer, it's really hard to sell a screenplay. And that's not a piece of content. It's not an output that is really viable in the marketplace, because how many buyers are there and how many of them actually are asking you to write for them? It's, again, you're hoping for an accident early on in your career. I'm going to
Yeah.
keep using that phrase so that it's just burned into my and everybody's ears.
It originated right
I
here
love
on
it.
this
I love
podcast.
it. What I tell a lot of screenwriters to do is to write stuff that can be commercially viable. So write short stories or write books or write the narrative version, write a novel, write a short story, write whatever, because you can sell those on Amazon. You can make $5 or $10 if you sell it directly to your audience. Like, you can, yes, you can do the consulting and the other side gigs and all that kind of stuff. But if you're a writer and you're not being hired to edit a project or go film a project, like your skill, your craft is writing. Okay, well, where is there actual demand for what you're writing? And focus on that at least part-time and
Yeah.
build it up to a sustainable level, because there are plenty of writers who have a Substack and it's paid and it pays them $1,000 or $1,500 a month. But hey, that's your mortgage or that's your rent or that's your car payment or whatever. Like, just, I'm saying it like it's an easy thing to do. No, it's going to take a year or two to build up to the point where you have $1,000 a month in revenue. But
Yeah.
I think that's a more direct route to the financial pressure being relieved than I'm just going to keep writing another screenplay, and hoping that it sells. And then it makes up for the 5 or 3 or 10 years that it took me to get to the point where I could sell a screenplay. So take that and extrapolate it for your situation, not you, Garrett, but you, the audience listener, and go, okay, what are some things that are complementary to the skill set that I have that are
Yeah.
maybe more directly marketable or sellable in the marketplace right now?
Darren, I feel like I need to add this, and this is hope. I think this will be some meat here that I'm offering up. I was a few years ago getting ready to desperately trying to make my next movie, and I'd already done several. And I had somebody come in and look at my finances and said, "Look, what feels like I have this great pressure to make the monthly bill or whatever it is financially." And then with this individual that analyzes my finances, he was a part-time CFO for me, where we got together for once a month. And after 3 or 4 months, he knew the routine, knew my finances, knew what was going on, and he said, you are closer to your next movie than you think you are. Um, and based on your finances and based on whatever, cutting these expenses or whatever, you're you're good for a certain amount of time. And it was so freeing, and it allowed me to be like, to say, oh, okay, I can have these conversations with investors now, or I can take the risk that I was so afraid to take because I was trying to make my next month or whatever it is. Essentially, he helped identify these income streams that already existed or that I didn't really recognize. And I think I just need to pass that on and say, look, filmmakers that want to make your next feature, you are probably closer to that than you think you are. If we take a moment to analyze what we're spending, where we're at financially, and recognize the very low cost of entry to make a feature or to make your next project, don't let that you or worry you. Don't let that uncertainty be what keeps you from achieving that goal.
Yeah, I love that you shared that. And I want to highlight one thing, which is your situation didn't change, the story changed. And then all the pressure went away.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Amazing.
Which maybe brings us to our next goal, Daren. Would you want to read this one out? This
Yeah,
one's
this
probably one
one's
I'm most
great.
excited about.
It's been a big focus of my year, and I'll my frequency is maybe different, but this next one is, so goal number 4: strengthen one strategic relationship per quarter. And this, again, it goes back to like having the end in mind and thinking about where are you trying to get to. This guy, Derek Sivers, has written a number of books, and he has one called on marketing called Your Music and People. And in it, he says the fastest way to get anywhere is to call the destination and ask for directions. And so I think of that when I think of strategic relationship. Where am I trying to get to? What do I want to be able to do? Who do I want to become? Find those people, call them, build relationships with them. And then that opens up a lot of doors because now you have not just a strategic relationship, but a relationship with someone who can help you. So what this looks like is, find a producer or find a distributor or a financier, investor, a collaborator that you invest real time in. And so you're not just treating them like an ATM. You're not just saying, hey, I need this. Can you help me? Hey, I need this. Can you help me? You're saying, hey, I saw that you posted on LinkedIn that this happened. Congrats. I don't have anything in this message that could be seen as an ask. It's literally just me keeping up with the relationship. It's saying, dude, congrats. That is awesome that happened. I'm so happy for you. We should catch up soon if you want to include that. Or you could just say, congrats. That's amazing. I saw that happen. So this means like you're actually meeting them in person. You're like when you're in town, you say, hey, I'm in town next week. I'd love to catch up. Not, I'd love to ask you for all the things that I need from you, but hey, I'd love to strengthen their relationship by spending an hour together. Let's grab lunch. Let's go to a show. Let's do a thing. Like, I'm hosting a lunch. I want you to come, whatever it is. Those invitations are part of it. The time spent together is part of it. And like we've talked about over the course of this year, I probably hosted, I don't know, a dozen or 15 different lunches or events or meetups throughout the year. And those relationships were strengthened because they got an invite. Even the ones that didn't show up became stronger
Yes.
relationships because I invited them. And then I had something to follow up on. Hey, I'm sorry we missed each other. I'd love to catch lunch. Talk about a dozen or 15 events. I probably had 100 lunches this year with people that I'm building these strategic relationships with. And so it's not just, again, not treating people like ATMs and saying, oh, I need this from them, so I'm going to build a relationship with them. It's saying, I think I can bring some value to their life. And I think it's a strategic relationship for both of us. And that's kind of the understanding going in. Like, I want to build a relationship with you because I think I can bring this. And, you've obviously got this going on, and let's talk about that. So I think this is a huge one. And if you want to start small, then build one per quarter. Identify one investor, one producer, one writer, one collaborator, one distributor that you want to connect with in 2026, and do one a quarter and start there.
That's so valuable. And I think one of the things that for me, I'm going to take from that is that the relationship is oftentimes an existing relationship that you have. It's somebody that you already know, somebody that you've worked with on the periphery. and you're going to strengthen that and go deeper with that particular individual. And I think a lot of the independent films happen, a lot of the projects I'm involved with happen because of the deep relationships, not because of the broad, oh, I know 100 people, therefore I'm going to make them do this. Hey, here's 2 or 3 individuals that I'm really connecting with, and we're going to write together or raise money together, or they're going to bring in money and I'm going to spend it. But that's how these projects are going to happen. So I love that, and that's very helpful.
Yeah.
How much, there's a lot of energy that does need to go into that, and there needs to be balance. And I guess what I'm leading towards is there's probably needs to be a personal inventory on relationships that aren't going anywhere, that aren't mutually beneficial, and maybe need to spend less time on those in the nicest way possible, but recognize that, hey, in order for these goals to be achieved, in order for me to go in the direction that I want to go, I'm going to develop,
Yeah.
strengthen those relationships that are going to be more beneficial to both of us.
Yeah. I think doing an audit like that is super important. Let's share 2 ideas. One is that when I did an audit earlier in the year, I realized I was on my phone too much. And that is a relationship
Ah,
that
there you go.
was sucking time at the level of like sometimes 3 or 4 hours a day of time spent scrolling on my phone. Sometimes, I'm watching a YouTube video or something in the background. So like that counts
Yeah.
towards screen time. But I know what I'm spending my time on. And so as of at least a year ago, if not longer, I don't have social media apps on my phone that have algorithmic feeds that are intended to suck me in and spend as much of my time and attention as possible. Those don't exist in my life. Like they are not on my phone. I don't scroll the internet on my computer. My computer's for working and creating. And so that was something where I instantly got back like 10 to 15 hours a week of time because I cut off that relationship
Wow.
with my phone.
Yeah.
And I think people should really audit that relationship with not just the phone, but with the different apps, with the things that are sucking your time and attention and not giving anything in return. That's a big one. The other idea is that if you want to speed this up, if you want to do more than just like 4 next year relationships, there is really high leverage with connectors and communities. And I don't know if we've talked about this on the show yet, but that this is like a big takeaway for me from 2025 is that if I can find a connector, someone who already has a network or someone who already has a community of people that are interested in what I'm doing, then I only need to create one relationship and I might get 10 or 20 or 50 or 100 because of that one relationship. Because what they will do is say, oh, I built this relationship with Daren and I want to tell all of you about it. All of a sudden you get the benefit and the fast forwarding. It's almost like time travel of like, oh, I just got 100 relationships in a single message because that person already has a relationship with them. So my connecting with them, I get their whole network. And that's happened a few times this year. And it's honestly where the big swings or the big, moments of momentum and growth have come from these connectors, these partnerships, these strategic relationships. So think about that as you're building or designing who you want to build strategic relationships with, and think about who are they connected to, or do they have a community of people that are the type of people I want to connect to? Because if you go to the community organizer and build relationships with them, you get the whole community as a bonus.
Yeah. Daren, those are some great insights, and I love that. I love that thought that you have a relationship with your phone, and is that beneficial? Is that helping you? And most likely it's not.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, should we go on to goal number 5?
Yeah, I think we got one
5 out of
last
5.
one. So
This is,
again, don't get overwhelmed, everybody. Pick one of these. Like start
no, do them all.
do them all.
Make the list.
I take it back. Do them all
Do
tomorrow,
them all.
January 1st.
Number 5 is ship something, even if it's small, right?
Mm-hmm.
So stay creatively and publicly active. This last year, I did a short film, and it's being distributed through Living Scriptures, and actually just made it through the Angel Guild. So it's just a little 15-minute short film. I did not do a feature. I did finish a script, but I guess the point is we need stay creatively active ship something, get something out there in front of your audience, not just your newsletter, but something creative.
Yeah. Hone your craft and keep it up. Like, you have to keep doing it, because if people see that you're going to do it, whether or not they're involved, I think that matters a lot. It brings back this concept of being inevitable. So if you're writing scripts, if you're producing stuff, if you're making it and they're not involved, they're going, oh, this guy doesn't need me, but I really want to be involved with this. So I better call Garrett. I better show up in his inbox. And that's happened for both of us this year, where it's like, oh, because of the stuff we're making and we're telling people about it, they go, oh man, he's making stuff. He's doing things. It's different than someone going, I would really like you to give me the money and permission to go make this thing. That's not a great pitch, because they're saying, well, it's 100% reliant on whether I give you this money or not. I don't like that feeling. I don't like that pressure. So no, thanks. I'd rather not.
More often than not, I've had investors give money because I am already making something.
Yeah.
Not because I'm asking them for money. As you're making a feature, you're doing a short, you're busy, you're building momentum. People want to be a part of that. And it's an investment or crew or an audience, right? They want to be a part of the momentum that you're building.
Yeah.
So even those short films that you're doing and putting out there, keep doing those.
Yeah. For producers, I think it's hard. I'll say this because I've found that to be hard. Like, what is my creative craft? Like, what is it that I do? Like, I'm structuring deals, I'm putting together projects, I'm figuring out all the different pieces, the financing, the crew, the production, the marketing, the distribution. Like, I'm an architect. That's what I could see myself as, a systems architect. I'm someone who's creating these opportunities for all those different people to be involved in. So an investor, a filmmaker, a crew person, a marketer, a distributor, an audience. That's what I do. So what's the creative output there, right? And so I've thought about this a lot. I don't actually know. But what I think it is right now is this kind of, let's call it thought leadership. I don't love that term, because I don't think of myself as someone who has original thoughts. I think I'm just taking 2 or 3 things and putting them together and going, oh, hey guys, here's an idea that I think if you combine these 3 things, there's something there. And I'm writing about it, and I'm talking about it on this podcast, on other podcasts. So part of my creative, quote unquote, output is sharing the architecture. And it's not in the form of a blueprint. Sometimes it takes the form of a strategy document or a newsletter or a podcast or a LinkedIn post. To me, that is the craft, or how I share the craft of architecting projects.
I think you're right on, Daren. I think this podcast is a result of, or is an opportunity for you as a producer to share that and to participate in that, but also producerially. I say, okay, every week I've got to come up with a guest or a topic, create that and execute it and deliver it.
Yeah.
I would also suggest that the producer, you're right, you're not delivering a creative film, but you're delivering influence. As a person of influence in the independent film space, that's what you're delivering, that weekly or quarterly or whatever it is, with your posts and podcasts and lunches and trainings and everything else that you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird thing to say, like, my output is a LinkedIn post or a newsletter, but I think that's what it is. And the takeaway there is, what is your thing? What is it that you're going to ship this year? And it might be something big like a screenplay, but it could be something much smaller and more snack size of, it's a LinkedIn post, or it's a blog post, or it's, I've written books, I've put on retreats, I've do these things, but they're all kind of in the same vein of, if I'm doing a retreat, it's me telling people how I architect projects.
Yeah.
But it's in retreat form. And my book is, here's how I architect projects and businesses in book form. And here's how I do it in newsletter form and podcast form. It's the same thing over and over, which is why I see myself more as an architect than a CEO, because I'm not about the operations. I'm not an executor. I'm not executing the plan. I'm designing the plan. So if anything, I'm the chief architect at Craftsman Films, not the CEO, not the president and founder. I'm the guy designing the system that everyone else gets to implement. So I think for the listener, what is it for you? What is the craft and what is the output? It could be a short film. It could be a proof of concept. It could be a sizzle, a teaser, a pitch deck, a plan, but putting it out there in the world so that it can get read and seen and experienced by real people. I think that's the goal there.
We'd love to know what your goals are. Those that are listening or watching, send us an email. Go to the podcast webpage, 3coinpro.com/podcast.
That's
Is
it.
that right?
We need to say it more often, apparently.
I really do. Yeah, that'll be goal number 6. Or leave a comment wherever you're listening and tell us your goals as an independent filmmaker or producer or participant as an audience member. We'd love to hear what you're up to.
Yeah. Amazing. Great stuff, Garrett. I think that's an awesome way to kind of wrap up the year that we've had. I'm really excited for what's coming in 2026. I think you've got a couple of projects that are really close, and I'm really looking forward to taking everything I learned this year about raising money and enrolling people in a process to then say, okay, we're going to have a couple of projects coming through next year, and excited to see how they perform and how they do and the audiences they reach. Man, it's going to be a good year.
Looking forward to it, Daren, and we'll be here every week to report on it or to talk about it and invite you to join in our progress as we share this experience of demystifying independent film.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thanks for joining us. If you are enjoying Truly Independent, please share and subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the journey. Today's episode was edited by Michael Bradford and produced by 3Coin Productions. This season of Truly Independent is supported by the Help Them See Foundation. Help Them See is a nonprofit dedicated to supporting feature films that inspire faith, hope, and connection. By partnering with filmmakers, the Help Them See Foundation brings meaningful stories to life and shares them with audiences worldwide, making a lasting cultural impact through the power of cinema. Learn more and discover how you can be part of the movement by visiting helpthemseefoundation.org.